There we go. Good morning. If you're joining us on Facebook and YouTube, let's do some movement. It's raining here, so hopefully it's not too loud if it starts dripping down there. And I'll just jump on the other camera. We'll start off with mobilization and then a little bit of pandiculation, a little bit of stretching. And then we'll focus a little bit more again on that strength. We may be doing some floor work, so just be prepared that we'll go onto the floor at some point as well. You don't have to if you don't have the space around there, or if you don't feel comfortable on the floor, but we will do a little bit of floor work as we work through. Standing with your feet shoulder width apart. Let's start off with spinal cord breathing. Breathing in. Opening up the throat, opening up the chest, breathing out, tucking the pelvis underneath. Get that pelvis moving as well. And that breath in and out is just light, so we're not taking big breaths. It's almost like the breath just naturally happens as you breathe in, as you open up, and as you breathe out. Can be quiet and soft in and out through the nose. And the rain has stopped for the moment. Just a couple more. And take a rest. Stand tall. If you need to move around a little bit or shake the legs out, shake anything out, take that moment and then come back to your shoulder width apart, popping one hand on the hip, the other hand holding up the teacup. We lead with the hips, so the hips and the center is doing all of the leading, the upper body follows. And the idea is to keep the palm facing upwards. So if you imagine you are holding something, holding a teacup on your hand, then you wouldn't be spilling it. I've never tried it with a teacup. I probably wouldn't be able to do it. It's maybe a good one to do. Leading with the hips and the waist, opening up the front as you come across the front, letting that hip drop out to the side. This is a nice one to get that whole spiral movement working through the wrists, the elbow, the shoulder, the hips and the knees and the ankles. Let's do one more on this side. And then we'll swap sides. So again, leading with the hips, so the hips lead. Open up the front, hips come forwards as you open up the front. Open up the chest as well as you come along the front. Extend the spine through the upper back here, just so that you're not putting too much pressure on the lower back. Breathing, just letting the breath be natural, in and out through the nose. do just one more in your own time. And take a rest. Standing tall. Let's do a bit of a leg swing. So we balance on one side, stabilize on one side, and then just swing the other leg across the front. So you sort of like, it's like you're going to kick to the side, knee comes up. So really free up this swing leg. Nice and free in the hip. Just relax the foot of the swing leg. Make sure you're balanced. Couple more. And then take a rest. Let the breath settle, because again that might increase the breath rate a little bit, increase the volume a little bit. So just let your breath settle. And then we're going to do another leg swing, but swinging in front of the body, and you're doing opposite arm swing. So you're balancing and just freeing up. So it's like you're walking, i.e. that contralateral movement, arm swing. Really just let the arms relax as they swing and get that little bit of rotation through the upper spine. This is something I was doing the other day, remembering to focus on this, is that if you just keep everything forwards, we end up doing that swinging forwards and backwards. So you want to keep upright, almost like that little bit of weight forwards. So, oh, did you hear that crack on my knee? That was really nice. Opened up my ankle. I think it was either my ankle or my knee. And you get that little bit of if you exaggerate the shoulders are rotating, or the shoulders are moving back and forwards because I'm rotating here through that thoracic spine. So it's a nice one again for the spine rotation. So if you're swinging backwards and forwards, we're too fixed forward facing. Get that rotation through the spine. And if you've done loads on one side, swap sides. I don't know if I think I've done both sides, but just swap sides. And if you get a little bit confused, I always think just point to the toe as it swings forwards. Point to the toe with the opposite hand. But keeping tall, make sure you don't point and reach down to point to the toe. Keep balanced. Keep relaxed where you can be, strong where you need to be. And then shaking the legs out. Let's do knocking. So again, it's that spine rotation one. So feet shoulder width apart. And then just knocking. Again, paying attention particularly to that upper back between the shoulder blades. And then just gradually slow that down into water waves. And take a moment. So we go, there's a little bit of mobilization now. Let's just do a little bit of gentle pandiculation or stretching. Again, we're not forcing that stretch. We're going shoulder width apart with the feet. Shoulder and a half width apart. So go pretty nice and wide with this one. And we can turn the feet out a little bit. But again, just your comfortable range of motion. Let's just remember dropping the pelvis down. So remember, this isn't going into a squat, so I'm not tilting. I'm literally almost like tucking the tailbone under as I drop down and then pushing up. I'm not over tucking the tailbone under though. I just want to keep that spine long. So it's a bit like having that weight on the bottom of the tailbone. You're just dropping down. The knees are going over or lining up over the toes. Make sure the knees aren't dropping in and out for the moment. And just go into that comfortable depth where you feel that nice lengthening through the hips, tall through the spine. So if you watch me from the side, I'm literally just staying upright. Staying upright. I'm not going into a tiger squat or anything like that. So just staying upright. And then once we've got that movement going, pushing out to the sides. It's a really nice one. Standing tall and then pushing out. Really stretching through the arm line. Stretching the fingers, flexing the wrists so the fingers are pointing towards the sky. Slowly pushing. It's really good if you've been sitting a lot at a computer. Just stretching out those arm lines, stretching out the fingers, stretching out the tendons, the ligaments, the fascia. Let's do a couple more. And take a rest. Okay, just coming down onto the floor for a few moments. I'm just going to lower my camera a little bit. So we don't need loads of space, but just make sure you've got a little bit of space around you. Let's move the chair. And coming onto your hands and knees. If you've got any issues with the knees, you can put something softer underneath. You can put a cushion underneath or anything like that. If it's any pain, then obviously you stop anything that we're doing today. So hands and knees. Feet just flat, so just on the top of the feet there. And then coming down onto your wrists. And we have knees underneath the hips and we have wrists underneath the shoulders. I remember this is what we were doing stuff like this when we very first started these sessions back in lockdown. I think we started the first session on the floor. Spine is just neutral, so I'm not pulling anything in, I'm not holding the tummy in, so I'm just keeping that spine in a neutral position. Should be able to move around a little bit comfortably like that. Get into that position. Make sure the head's not dropping forwards. So just nice long spine. So it's almost like you've got a string just gently pulling the crown of the head forwards, pulling the tailbone backwards. Long spine, long strong spine. We're just going to gently rock forwards and backwards. Really easy rock. So as you rock forwards, we're just putting that little bit more weight through the wrists, through the hands. Spread the fingers. So again, get the fingers and the tendons lengthened along the floor. And keep the spine pretty neutral. So as I'm rolling back, I'm not tucking the pelvis under. So see if you can take the weight back, but keep that tailbone pointing towards the sky. So you have that natural, your own natural curve at the base of the spine. Again, it's key not to force anything. Just feel the weight shifting forwards and the weight shifting backwards. The elbows are soft, not locked out, and if you can, the elbow pits facing forwards. And soft, by soft I don't mean bent, so you aren't bending in the elbows. You've got the arm is straight but not locked. And you're just breathing easy in and out through the nose. And then we're just going to take a rest when you're ready. If you need to come up a little bit, if you want to come up a little bit, just come up to kneeling to take a rest. If you can comfortably sit on the heels just to take a rest, if that feels comfortable, that's fine. Or if you want to stay in that position, that's absolutely fine to stay in that position for a moment. This is quite nice because it stretches out the quads and stretches out the shin bones there as well. Let's then go back into that same position. So on all fours. This time we're going to tuck the toes underneath. And we're going to prepare to be a little bit more challenged with the core muscles. So it's just a subtle engagement of the glutes, of the abdomen, without over tightening, and just see how that area responds as you just bring your knees off the floor so your shins are parallel to the ground. But then keep breathing, so make sure you can still breathe deep into the center. So make sure you're not holding the breath, and then just lower the knees towards the ground. Bring the feet back down and just take a little moment there as well. So I want you to really, it's very easy to push yourself into that position and hold the breath and go, right, I'm just going to hold it for as long as I can. Let go. I want you to be aware of the fact that you're going to engage, but just enough engagement in that core area, in the spine, in the shoulders, to actually still be able to then breathe and still be able to breathe deep. And remember, when I'm saying breathe deep, I don't mean breathe big volumes of air. It's still feel the breath, still feel the diaphragm contracting, but with that engagement here in the abdomen area. So let's have another little go in that. Shift forwards. We don't have to take a long time doing this. It's not about how long can you do it, it's about what you're sensing and how you are working here. So get into that position, tucking the toes underneath. Be aware that there's going to be an engagement, a little bit more engagement, and then just raising the knees off the ground, breathing. If you get any pain in the wrists or the shoulders or anything that makes you hold the breath, or there's just any pain, obviously you stop. If you're comfortable here for a moment, just do that little rock forwards and backwards. Just breathing easy. And then just when you're ready, safely lower the knees. Make sure you don't crash down. Lengthen out the feet and then just sit back. Let the breath settle. And then coming forwards again, bringing the feet together and just turning, or the feet closer rather than sticking them together. Bringing the knees out. Again, if you've got any problems on the knees here, either put some cushioning underneath it, a rolled up towel or cushion. If it hurts the knees, just do not do this movement. It's not about forcing. So just come in a little bit wider apart with the knees. I'll show you from the front on this one so you can see as well. So you've got the knees out the front. I need to clean this floor. Knees out the front there. And then you're just going to come down onto the forearms. Hopefully you can see in the phone camera there. Down onto the forearms. So you've got your elbow underneath the shoulder. Make a number 11 with the forearms. So you haven't got the elbows turned out like this. You've got the elbows turned in. Feels nice on the shoulders. And here, this should feel quite nice. Just a gentle rock forwards and backwards. Shifting the weight over the arms, the forearms, and rocking backwards. Really nice one for the hips. Gentle movement. It's always nice to come back to do some floor stuff. Something I know I should do a little bit more of. Just this basic floor stuff, rocking, bear crawl. Really good for opening up the hips. Just a couple more rocking. And then come up, bringing the hands up in front of you. Bringing the knees together. And then very slowly stepping out with one side, stepping out with one foot. And then shifting the weight. We did this last week where we came down from the squat, but this is a nice way of standing up. Shifting the weight over to that side so you can step up with the other foot. Get into that squat position. And then slowly come up to standing. Take your time. Really, really slowly come up to standing. Just move the camera up. And then we'll do a little bit of nice Qigong flow just to finish off. Let's do baby bird. I like this one. So back of the hands together. So imagining you've got a string on the elbows and then somebody cuts the string so the elbows drop. So elbows, shoulders stay relaxed and then drop. Breathing in, spine extends, body expands, breathing out. Turn that move in the next one that you do into the fountain. So it's just a little bit bigger movement and then out to the side. Slight hinge forwards. The spine lengthening. Take a moment. And then pulling down the heavens, but with the palms facing the ground first. So it's almost like pulling up the earth first and then rotating the shoulders and then pulling down the heavens. And the rain started here again. Gonna run and get wet. Breath in. Breath out. One more before we take our time in bamboo in the wind. Just interlocking, resting on the belly, bringing the feet together. Just closing your eyes. And just allowing your body just to rock and sway and spiral. Taking a breath now, fuller breath, calm, full breath. Expanding the body and opening your eyes at the top of that breath. Stepping out. Gentle brush down. Good, bit different today, doing a little bit of floor work. It's nice to get back into some stuff that we've done centuries ago, way back at the very beginning. I know it's always difficult on camera to do the floor work, but we must probably introduce a little bit more or continue with a little bit more of that over the coming weeks. On Tuesday, we're going to do a seated class. So we'll do some seated Qigong and we'll spend a little bit more time as well doing some of the seated breath work. So that's the idea for Tuesday's class. So until then, have a fantastic day today. Have a great weekend, and I'll see you on Tuesday. Take care. Thank you.
That was great. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Bye-bye. Bye.
See you next Thursday. Bye.